All right. Um, can you please state your names, your age, and how long you've been married?
Amber Malvin McIver. I'm 39 years old, and this is,
How long have we been married?
oh God, 18, almost 18 years.
18 years, September 1st. I'm Krishna McIver, and I'm 42. Been married. Oh, do I include my first marriage?
Next question, Kamal.
Oh, okay.
All right. Most couples say they are married because they love their spouses. What do you think love is? And what are some key points to having a happy relationship and a marriage?
Obey your wife.
A sense of humor is,
Yes.
is a key point of a happy relationship.
Honesty.
Being with your friend, somebody you can always talk to no matter what, and not afraid to tell your deepest, darkest secrets or what you're currently feeling.
And probably the most important part is trust. If you don't trust the person, it's never going to work. You know. So I think trust probably ties into everything. So if you trust a person, you're probably more than likely to be honest. You're more than likely to be vulnerable. You're more than likely to be, just in general, just open. So for me, I would say trust.
All right. The next question is, what do you think about cohabitation, single parenthood, and illimid whatever in
Yeah.
American communities? For example, the problems of violence and teenage pregnancy are beginning to manifest themselves in a kind of nihilistic destruction in the ghetto that is reflective of lost hope, low self-esteem, and the breakdown of family.
You want?
Well, personally, I don't see that it's not a new phenomenon. When we were growing up, I know I had a lot of friends who were single parents in high school when I was growing up.
Grew up in single parent.
No, they were. I had friends who were pregnant in high school.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm a product of a single parent environment because my parents got divorced when I was 3, and I was primarily raised by my mother. I think that had an effect on me, mainly because I was always, wanting my father to be there. I didn't have that male figure to nail things into me like, no, girl, you're gonna do it this way. I had my mom going, oh, well, we'll get it together. She was hard at times, but she was nice most of the time, and I needed that male figure. So I think it's very important for males or females to have a two-parent household at all times. What do you think?
Uh, I say yes and no. Two parent households, I think, is the best ideal situation. But I've seen situations where, and I guess what do you define as a two parent household? Because can it still be a two parent household if the parents are living together, but still have a relationship with their kids? And if even if they don't live together, but they still have a relationship with their kids, I think it can work if the parents are willing to do what it takes. And I think it's probably a little bit more difficult in that situation. But I think the biggest part that kind of hurts the community in terms of single parents and having kids who are products of that not being, as successful or maybe having a little bit more of a challenge or whatever, how people perceive it is, it's just it's easier to do things if you have more support. So if you have one less piece of support, logically it's a little harder. It's going to be harder for a person to do well. So people who come from product, I'm a product of a two parent household, so that's all I know. And honestly, nobody in my family has ever been, as far as I know, my immediate family has ever been put in that situation. So I'm pretty foreign to understand that. But the folks that I know have been in those situations, lots of times a lot more mature, um, have sometimes a much better perspective. So I don't think it's all negative. I just think it puts a lot of more emphasis and pressure on the kid, and either those kids step up or they don't. And I think that's where it really comes down to.
Okay. The next question is, uh, are what experiencing in the African American in the experiencing in the African American communities today regarding the family, marriage, and couples, um, are they the same values and ethos in your generation as well as the upcoming generation, so your kids' generation?
Are the
And
values the same? You're saying,
yeah, and if not, how are they different?
I, I think they're just, I don't think the values, I think everybody's values have been pretty much the same. I just think how those values are applied have been different, at least in my opinion. Um, because everyone talks about the old days being so much better, but people were being raped and pillaged and beat up and all those things back then. So I think in the end, everyone really cared for each other, loved each other, and wanted to provide for their families. Because I think my gut is I think everyone's value is basically core values. You just want to be able to do what it takes to raise you, provide for you and your family. Now, how you go about which doing it is a different thing. So I think the values are the same. I just think the vehicle and the means by which people do it are different. So that's my opinion.
Yep, I concur with what Krishna is saying. People have the same. I feel people have the same values, but it's just a way of getting there. We want to provide for our children. We want to make sure that they're getting to college so they can have a better life for themselves. And I feel that they will do the same thing, just like our parents wanted the same things for us, and our grandparents wanted the same things for their children. Everybody wants the same thing. It's just society is revolving is moving a little bit faster, and we're more connected via email and Skype and things like this. So we can really connect a little bit more, and everybody's just able to see everybody and connect with everybody. So it might have seemed like people's values have changed, but I don't think they really have.
All right. The next question is, what are some causes or origins of these social problems? Are they largely moral problems, as claimed by some critics, or are they because religious meanings no longer permeate the everyday life of the individual?
What?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think. I think growing up, when I was in elementary school, we said a prayer in class. We pledged allegiance to the flag every morning. Kids knew what they were supposed to do and how to get there, and you walked in a straight line and you did what you were supposed to do. Nowadays, kids don't have that. They don't have, we're going to have a prayer in class in the morning to make sure that we're all on the same page. And I grew up it was specifically when I was in Ohio. Yeah, we had Jewish kids, we had Muslim kids, we had Catholic kids, we had Baptist kids, we had Protestant kids, all in the same class. We all said a quick little prayer and moved on about our day. Nowadays, I think people just want to make everything so in a box, and you don't want to think out anymore. And help me out here. It's it's a little bit social, but I think that people need to relax a little bit. Need to relax as far as religion and when we had a little bit of religion in schools and around people all the time, I think things were a little bit better for people.
See, I think the reason why people are like this is because for the longest, and if you look through history, religion was a means by which people were influenced to do certain things and accept certain things. As things have evolved, more and more information is available to more people. So I think people question everything now because it's including religion, and because of that, because they have information that they didn't have before. And honestly, some of the realities of what people are, I'll give you a prime example. The Catholic Church is a prime example. There are a lot of people that obviously, and continue to really believe in what the Pope, tells them to do. But when you're seeing emails, you're seeing blogs, you're seeing on television, you're seeing all these things saying that the Pope is allowing, priests to molest kids knowingly. It really destroys the faith that people may have in those type of institutions, and they question it. And then people are going to start searching and looking for other means to kind of answer those questions. So the religion part is, I don't know if it's the religion's fault, is the lack of religion is the reason why people don't have the same values. I think it's because there's so much information now, and not just, when I say information, that doesn't mean it's correct, that means it's right, it doesn't mean it's accurate, but there's so much information out there that you really don't even have to take a stand on anything. You can just kind of, if it's not what you like, you can go blog something else that will say what you do like, and then you never have to really be challenged in that sense. So because of that, there's no parameters for a lot of people, and people think they can pretty much do what they want. But I was raised in a way that you can do anything you want in life, but you can't do it all. But people in this world now think they can do it all, and that's just not the truth.
All right. The next question is, though there are nevertheless obstacles that we face in America because of race, what can and should be done by us to solve some of the problems facing the nuclear family and marriage in our communities?
What was the last part?
What was the last thing you heard?
The last sentence that you said.
Okay, I'll just read the whole thing again.
Okay.
Though there are nevertheless obstacles that we face in America because of race, what can and should be done by us to solve some of the problems facing the nuclear family and marriage in our communities?
I think number one is stop making excuses as a race. Hold ourselves accountable for not just what's going on, not just what influences our community from the outside, but what influences our community from the inside. Secondly, I think another piece of part that would really help in terms of making things better, in terms of, as a race, would be to surely understand what the real issues are on certain things, and understand that in the end, even though you and I may disagree on a certain issue, that should be welcomed in our community. I don't think everybody should have to think the same. For anyone to think that all black folks need to be Democrats and not be Republicans or independents or whatever, libertarians, whatever it may be, I think is wrong. I don't think that should be right, because I think we're very vast and diverse, and I think we need to accept that. And if we accept that and understand that, I think holistically we would be able to evolve a lot more, interact with other folks more, and maybe look at things from different eyes versus always reacting to thinking that someone's attacking us or not allowing us to do certain things. And that affects not only our day-to-day life, but even our households. And I think if people do that, I think all those institutions, I think, would be a lot better. So that's my opinion.
For me, it's helping out one another like a true community used to. Before we had when there was segregation, you went to your black doctors, you went to your black lawyers, you went to your black pharmacy in your community. People were more apt to helping each other out. We don't do that anymore. We don't network anymore. We don't say, hey, you know what, my kid over here needs a summer job. Do you know somebody who can help? A lot of times people don't do that anymore. It's, you might get your close-knit circle of folks who might do that for you.
Especially economics now.
Right, but it's hard to say, okay, this kid over here is going to need my help. Let me pull him over to the side and say, this is what we can do for you. What do you need? What do you need to be successful? People don't do that in the African American community. They might do that in the Latino community. They'll do it in the Asian communities. They do it in the Jewish communities. they were not doing it in our community, and we need to do that more. I mean, I was just talking to a coworker yesterday, and I was like, we need to get a group together, people this week, and interact and mingle and network within ourselves, you know. And it doesn't mean that, you know, I have to make $100,000 a year to be in this community. No, it means, okay, I see this brother over here, he needs help, he needs a job. Who do I know who's hiring? Let's pull everybody up, you know, not just, you know, not just, okay, for me, it's us. That's what we need to start to do.
And we also need to get folks out of our business, because it seems like our community's issues, challenges seem to be out there all the time. And I think we allow that to happen. But other communities have similar issues, and I don't think it's out there as much as ours are. And I think it's because of our makeup. We tend to want to express ourselves and bring attention to certain things. And the Black community is very trusting in that sense, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. And I think we suffer for that. So.
The last question is, according to Newsweek of March 3rd, 2003, from schools to jobs, Black women are rising much faster than Black men. What are the consequences of this development for the marriage market, relationships, and family in the African American communities?
You're going to have a group of women out there who, because the person that should be their mate isn't as economically stable as them or educationally, you know, stable as they are, not going to be willing to deal with that man. He's a good man, but, you know, because he's not here, you know, he might be here, but he's not here with you. Sisters aren't going to be willing to deal with them. You know, they'll be like, oh no, you need to do something to build yourself up. I'm 25 years old. I got a Benz. I got my own house. I got this. I got that. What are you doing? You know, so and they'll be more apt to go to another race who the men are doing that. You know, a lot of our young men are in jail right now when they should be in college. You know, knock on wood, my children will never have experience that. They'll all go through college. They'll all do exactly what they need to do. And they'll reach those higher echelons of women. You know, and the same thing for men. You know, there are some women out there who are just here, and they're here. But they have a tendency to try to bring them up. The Black women need to start to do that. Otherwise, we're going to lose Black couples like we have. You know, I see it all day long. You have white men, Black women. Just like you see Black men with white women. I think it can potentially really damage our community.
I just think it's just going to change the dynamic of things. I mean, to me, I just think it's a natural way of things because the truth of the matter is, Black women have been known for, you know, hundreds of years to do what is necessary to provide for them and their family. So what I think is going to really happen is, number one, Amber's right, women are going to open up their horizon to look at other options to fulfill those needs. And brothers are going to have to step up, and if they don't, they don't. But the dichotomy of a family, and I'm just going to use like the Latino community, for example. You know, the Latino community is notoriously known for, you know, there being, you know, very close-knit, the father having, you know, a lot of authority. And, you know, the wife has authority, but it's still, there's a clear hierarchy of who makes the decisions. And it's not every Hispanic family, but it's just kind of ingrained in their culture. And I think that's similar for the African American community, but I think women have a much more stronger role in our family in that sense, and in terms of, you know, women being able to be outspoken, be able to express their opinions, everything else, and because everyone says it's nothing like a strong sister, and sisters known as being very strong. But the problem I think is coming up is that I think for women is that they're going to think that they're men, and they're not. just because you're making more money, just because you can provide for yourself, doesn't mean that you're a man. You're a woman, you're a lady who is doing that also. And I think that's where things are kind of getting screwed up, where people are equating how much money you make as giving you the power within a household. And in my mind, I don't think that's the case. I think there's, you still have roles for a man, you still have roles for women in a household. Now, sometimes they go back and forth, and it can kind of be, I've seen couples where the woman is the enforcer and the man isn't. I've seen it vice versa. Huh?
Are you the enforcer?
I don't know. But I think that's the part that's really hard is I don't think women doing what they're doing is really hurting men. I think it's helping them to step up. But I think what's hurting women is that they're trying to fill all these roles, and they're not going to be successful doing it because they're not men. They're just not. And then unfortunately, they're doing all these things because men aren't men. They don't want to take on those responsibilities. They just want to kind of just act like they are and say they are, but then not really do what it takes. So.
Well, then that'll be a vicious cycle of going back to, women being the head of the household and saying, okay, I want a child, but I don't need a man, so you have the single parent household, which you'll have your illegitimate children, you have this and you have that, and then it'll turn into a vicious cycle where you'll have young ladies saying, well, mama did it on her own, she didn't need him, I can do the same thing too, and that's gonna put pressure on our young men.
Because I can tell you this, I've never heard a man say, I don't need a woman. I've heard women say they don't need a man, and I think women being successful, and honestly, people act like it's just happening in the black community. It's happening in all the communities. There's a possibility for a woman to be president of the United States in the next, few years. So I also don't people don't understand that there's an evolution going on where as women have more opportunities as they didn't have before, just like it was for African Americans when they were coming up. Women are going to find out, wait a minute, I can do this and I can be successful at it, and they're going to do it. And that's just the way it is. So I don't think it's just occurring in the African American community. I think it's evolving throughout the United States or the world. And we're just riding the same wave. It's just that it's hitting our community maybe a little differently, and the issues might be a little different. But, the reality is women have more opportunities now than they ever had. And women are just as capable as men in a lot of ways, so it's just the way it is.
All right. Thank you for your time. That will be the end of my interview. I hope you guys have a good night. Thank you very much.
And you better get an A on this. All right, see you later. Come on.
Bye.
Bye-bye.